alongside Mr. Brandon K. We have our buddy Vecna here from Stranger Things Season 4. Below, deliberately not listening to any of this, is Mr. Obi Spencer, because he has not seen the new season of Stranger Things yet, does not want to get spoiled, so he is literally on mute, I think, right now. Additionally, I have also given our producer extraordinaire, Jeff Valentino, the night off, because Jeff actually has not seen the season yet, and while he was willing to get it spoiled, I told him, no, get out, do not actually get involved with this. We are going to be spoiling the ever-loving shit out of this season right now, or at least where we got so far. Brandon, I know you had some thoughts there, so how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Between Stranger Things, ObiWan, we were just mentioning the Mets before in LA fighting back. Just, everything's the Rangers are still on good pace to go past the Lightning. So things are going well right now.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good, doing good. So we're going to knock out Stranger Things first and foremost, because again, Obi's just sitting down there, very patient, very quiet, but still on camera. So I don't think he can actually hear anything that we have to say right now. Oh, he can. Okay. All right, never mind, because that means I can't talk smack about him behind his back then. Loving the hat, by the way. Fantastic hat. Brandon, go ahead, man. As I'm losing my voice right off the bat.
No, this is with Stranger Things, they've done something right.
Mm-hmm.
And we forget how long ago the last season was.
Mm-hmm.
And between the pandemic, I mean, just everything bleeds into, 2 years feels like just one giant mega year. Shout out to the Mega Pint on that. But just it's really the layoff, and then the way they've done the first part of the season. You get that out of the way, get about a month, 6 weeks or so until you release the last of this season. Honestly, I'm at a point where I'm willing to put this as a top 10 show of all time. I mean, this is something special, and I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah. I think it started a little slow with the Eddie Munson storyline and everything like that, but that was okay because you had to reset the character. It felt in some ways like a reboot a little bit. Oh no, I think it was great, but I think it started a little slow there. It felt a little bit like a reboot of the series in some ways. I mean, obviously the kids are now in some cases 20 years old for the quartet or quintet, if you will. Joe Keery, who plays Steve, is now 30 years old at this point.
All of them are like 6 to 8 years, or maybe even 10 years older than the character they're playing.
Yeah, and it's funny. I mean, you can definitely see a difference, but I think it's more or less forgivable.
They all have, the thing is, dude, they all have baby faces.
Mm-hmm.
Even the older ones that are mid 20s or pushing out no more than older than 30, they still have young baby faces. So I think with a touch of makeup and the hair, it's easily it's no problem. I've never once sat there watching through any of the season and be like, they look too old to play that character. I've never felt that. I thought they played appropriate age characters.
I mean, I thought maybe with Will, maybe a little bit, but again, like I said, it's forgivable. It's been 3 years, so what are you going to be able to do in this case?
But he had that almost Harry Potter glow up between Chamber of Secrets and Prisoner of Azkaban, and all of a sudden he was like a college senior. He had that type of a glow up.
Credit to them. They did 8 Harry Potter movies in 11 years. I mean, that's just nonstop back to back to back on top of that.
Crazy.
So the fact that they were, like I said, able to pull that off and completely put their lives on hold. I mean, with the Lord of the Rings movies, they did 3 across 3 years there and spent about 3 years out in New Zealand. But this, I mean, like I said, that was 11 years of filming for these kids. It's half their lives.
Yeah.
But they still pretty much pulled it out because, again, they're in a rush because it's even worse there because the entire cast pretty much is all nothing but kids.
Right. No, but just that glow, he looked from like a 10-year-old to a 22-year-old from years 2 to years 3. But what's really funny, you bring up Will, and we have Vecna on the screen, who I think is really an incredible villain.
Oh my God, he's awesome looking.
So
let's zoom in on that real quick.
Yeah, it's really, and that's all makeup. That's not CGI.
Yeah.
For anyone that doesn't know that, that's all hours and hours of sitting there with the makeup, that whole deal, and it's incredible. Actually, the same guy that does all the makeup for him did was it the Snow King from Game of Thrones, the Ice
Really?
Kings, and another big character recently. But he's
I
becoming
can see
a
it.
great villain. But you bring up Will and the glow up, his haircut, that bowl cut. I can't get over it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I saw a meme on social media, and it was a screenshot of his head from all 4 seasons.
hmm
And it goes, the biggest villain in Stranger Things is Will's barber. And all the comments, and I'm reading the comments, and you'll probably agree with me. They're all like, nah, his barber is definitely Joyce. It's his mom. His mom gives him the haircut.
Probably is, you know. I mean, with a character like that, they don't really have a ton of cash there, so you'd have to
Yeah,
assume
no.
that it probably does come from the mom.
But it was just funny. But no, Vecna. There's almost a time. We brought up Eddie before. We
hmm
thought Eddie was almost going to be like Billy from the previous season, more kind of
hmm
in that antagonistic. He's super likable.
Yeah, you know, it's like it's that quiet, nerdy dude. You know, I mean, you're too young for this. Me and Obi, you know, there are certain people that we can remember from our high school that were like, yeah, basically, Obi, I can see a little Joe Campanelli in that character when the time comes. You know, you remember Joe, you remember Steve actually too. So I could see it with that where you had that long-haired, sort of half geek,
Guitar
half
playing rocker,
yeah, you know.
which
Um,
I play, so I relate to. I find him one of my favorite characters in the whole series. And there's or stills from the trailers coming up where we're gonna see him like playing the guitar, like he's being lifted up. Oh, I can't wait for that.
yep. You know,
That's gonna be peak scene right there. I'm excited.
and one thing I want to say about that also is that we had, you know, 7 episodes so far. We got 2 left, but every single episode was bare minimum like 65 minutes.
Oh
Final
yeah,
episode was an hour and 40. So right there, that was already a longer season. Forgetting the fact that the last 2 episodes are going to be a total of about 4 hours. The final
you're
episode is
getting
two
two
and a half
full
hours.
length movies. You're getting 2 full length movies to finish this out.
Yeah, it's like they were making up for lost time with the 3 years that they were out, and they just used that time to fine tune and rewrite and rewrite. And obviously, this is a big Netflix series, so Netflix was just like, "Here, go!" And you know, I mean, they filmed in Bosnia for God's sakes.
Yeah, all the scenes over there with Hopper and they bring Murray and Joyce end up meeting up there.
Fucking
That's
Murray, man, I love Murray, man. That dude
Murray
is
is so
awesome.
great. Murray is fantastic.
You know, I mean, like, I mean, I don't want to give away too much here,
Yeah.
from the, you know, from Obi standpoint, but yeah, Murray just brings that cynical charm, and it turns out that he is a black belt too. And he does at one point in, you know, in the one episode, he does open up some whoop ass, and he does actually showcase some of the skills. When he flipped the guy over on a plane, I'm like, dude, yes, fucking go Murray.
It's such a funny scene.
Yeah,
But you know what? He's the type of character where it's like if he came up to you like, I'm black belt in karate, you'd be like, of course you are.
Yeah,
Like, why wouldn't you be? Like, you're just so out there. Like, why wouldn't you be a black belt?
yeah. Obviously, at the very end, all the expendable extras had to die. You know, so it was just Hopper and the Russian contact, left. But all the other BG had to die. You know, just how the way it works in this case. But there's a lot left in this. I have a sneaking suspicion, and I could be wrong, but I don't think we're done with the Vecna character yet. I think he's going to carry over to season 5. I mean, there's too much left with 2 episodes left to finish out his character right now. And I would like to see him carry over to season 5. I'd like to see a length of season 5, kind of what they're doing, with season 4. But you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think they're at a point where obviously they've been aware of him for, what is it, like at least 4 episodes now, up to where we are. They're at a point where they're just kind of understanding what the situation is, let alone trying to, defeat it or in case like that, or try to overcome this. And it's really how it plays back to the Demogorgon and the Mind Flare, how that plays into this, because they've only been mentioned in talk. We saw the Demogorgon in Russia in the cell, but that wasn't really connected to the Stranger Things story like we know it. So I think, yeah, we are far, far from seeing what the what Vecna is. Um, yeah, I mean, even with like, I think it's supposed to be whatever, like 4 hours or three and a
Mhm.
half hours between these last two episodes. That is a lot of time, but between you got everybody from Russia, Hopper, Murray, they have to meet up. The two groups, all like we have like three or four different groups, all
Mhm.
having all these individual storylines. They haven't even connected yet. So I think this is going to be more of a season 4, like a 2-season length part of this story, not so much the first 3 seasons where they were a little individual, but
Mhm.
they obviously bled into each other.
Well, there was like
And
6 different storylines going on at the same time. Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
no, and we got a lot of answers too about the kind of the first couple seasons, or at least some things too. So I think we are really starting to piece together this whole situation with the upside down
Mhm.
and the mind flare and everything like that. And it's I'm obsessed with this show. I was at
Yeah.
Walmart trying to find their pizza, the Surfer Pizza, and they
Mhm.
didn't have it, and I almost went off the deep end on it.
Well, Domino's apparently has something for a pizza with your mind. I don't know.
Like,
It wouldn't surprise me with technology being the way it is. If you ever saw like Brockmeyer, the Lamone app of the future and how it knows everything about you and what you want before you even ask it. This whole Stranger Things Domino's thing reminds me a lot of Lamone from Brockmeyer.
yeah, it's cool. And then there's a thing where if you the number that is on the van, the Surfer Boys Pizza van, if you call
Mhm.
that number, you'll get a recording of what Argyle says when he answers the phone. And there's something
Nice.
about it that just makes you feel so immersive. Like it really connects you to the show, like something silly like that.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, they've really done something special with this franchise.
And one last thing in this case, because of the fact that the series this season has a very, very Nightmare on Elm Street feel to it. Having Robert Englund as a character,
Yes.
at least the one episode so far, was a nice tie-in because it had a lot of that '80s horror feel to it, and that's what made this, I think, a little bit different from some previous seasons there, where they went with a certain year, a certain feel that happened in that year, and they're like, okay, we're going to go in this direction with it. And yeah, I was a little skeptical. Wasn't really that fired up about season 4. And then when I started watching it, I saw a few things, and it was just like, yeah, this still works.
Yeah.
So,
And
all
then,
right.
we've
So,
talked. I did want to say one thing about this
yes.
birthday, confusion. Will's birthday.
They're mentioning that, by the way.
I don't
Go
believe
ahead, but
them. Like you mentioned
mhm.
before, they had all this time to write out and work and reread and triple read and bulletproof everything. I find it so hard to believe that they did that by accident. Okay, Duffer Brothers. Okay,
I
that's
think
all.
in this case,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, in this case, if you're wondering actually what he's referring to in this particular case, um, Will's birthday was 100% completely missed, at some point. So that's what I think they're looking at right now. Was it missed on purpose? Was it missed by accident?
Yeah. Yeah.
Will
So
will admit that basically he is, he is in love with his best friend. Very possible. We're waiting on that one, I think. So, but
yeah,
yes.
it's just yeah. The thing is how for the show started like the very first season, March 21st, and Will's birthday is the 22nd, and they made a
Mhm.
whole deal in the very couple very 2 episodes, the first of the season, and then this season starts off March 21st, and obviously it's going to take a day or whatever, so it is going to get
Mhm.
to Will's. So I just find it very hard to believe that it's coincidental that they started the same date. And a lot of people are saying, "Oh, that's the start of spring break." I don't think every school has the same spring break. That's not how it works.
Probably not.
I don't think
Yeah.
all the schools have that 1 week everybody's spring break. I
Mhm.
don't think so. I think it's by school district or by state. So I think there's something going on with that, and I don't believe them where they forgot or it was an accident.
Fair.
This show is too detailed to do something like that.
And maybe they'll figure something out and talk about it come July 1st when the next half of the season comes out, next part of the season comes out. Okay, so Obi, if you can hear us, we're changing the topic off of that. Can you hear us? So let me just drop him a message. He has been actually, like I said, he's been very, very patient on this so far. not wanting to get spoilers on
Yeah,
this season.
I wasn't trying to give away too much. That
We did a solid job on that. Want to switch real quick just for a couple minutes over to the sports side of things. We are now, in this case, no longer getting Miggy with it. Getting tired of being yanked around by the team in pinstripes. Miguel Andujar, their prize and borderline actually rookie of the year in his own right, had he not lost to Shohei Ohtani, has wanted out of New York because they keep demoting him down to the minors. I ran the numbers on this. He actually has a better WAR in 12 games this season than either Joey Gallo or Aaron Hicks, who they're paying buckets of money to, and he wants out, and I don't think anyone can blame him.
No, he's the scapegoat right now.
Yeah.
And just based on contract, he's expendable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they're doing. And I don't blame him. Not at all.
Yeah.
There's for forgetting my Mets fandom and just there's really not a part of me that would, I mean, if I'm drafted and I have okay, that's a difference. But if free agency trade, there's nothing enticing to me that would make me want to go to the Yankees. I don't really care about history where you won a World Series 100 years ago with little these little guys, guys that you don't even heard of. You never even heard of. And
like Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, those guys. Never heard of them.
I'm not. We like
Mickey Mantle,
Bob
Joe DiMaggio.
Bob Musial. But I think he's talking about Popeye Pete or no shoes, Sean O'Flattery or something like that.
Reese's Pieces McGee or some stupid guy like that, or I don't care.
Big nose, a Houlihan.
I we've talked about this countless times. They're very corporate to me. They're very suit and tie, buttoned up. I feel like I'm going to a business meeting when I go to a game. I don't blame him. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I've basically
you're the Yankee fan.
Yeah, but I did want to throw something in there about that. Go ahead, please.
I mean, it's nice that he's tired. He wants to change, but it's what we call the contract. And I mean, I don't know how much the CBA changed for the young guys. I know there was some tweaks to prevent sort of the ability to mess with guys' years. I guess once they're up, they're up. And not even if you start later in the season was what they got, so they're closer. But he'll get yanked around until he's got his 5 or 6 years, and then he's no longer available for arbitration, and then he'll see where he can get money. He does not have a lot of pull in this situation, especially as a guy who, he might have more WAR, but he also only has 12 games.
Yeah, but the problem is actually they keep benching him or setting him down because he has options. And he's like, I want out. Yeah. And Gary Sanchez, who also got out and is actually starting to do slightly better up in Minnesota. He's like, you know what? Good call, dude. Get out of there.
Yeah, it might be the right call, but it's not like, he's going to have a lot of
that's kind of easy for him to say, though.
Yeah.
For Sanchez, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, Sanchez got kind of pushed out of town anyway. But, but I don't hate that move either. I don't hate the move, to package Gio Urshela. I have a problem with the fact that they took on a 36-year-old third baseman at $25 million a year. Full freight, 2 years.
Who has been in how many controversies already this season, and we're not even at All-Star break?
He's got a couple, one alongside his teammate and one of racial issues, which made the conversation with the aforementioned Aaron Hicks probably a little awkward in that locker room. I mean, granted, Tim Anderson did refer to himself as Jackie Robinson, but irrespective of that, it probably didn't go over well. And Josh Donaldson was actually apparently very upset with his teammates because his teammates didn't support him through this.
Yeah, but if you honestly, if you're taking a piss on a fire and expecting it to put it out, no, you're making it worse. Give you a graphic metaphor there, but he didn't help himself in his own right.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing with Garrett Cole, he said what he said prior to coming to the Yankees, but then at that point, you're already on kind of some shaky grounds per se with maybe the fan base and the organization. You do your best to just keep your head down, do your job, Belichick, do your job and just play baseball. And he's got a decent WAR, low batting average this season, so it hasn't been that bad.
But again, that contract and that money could have been spent elsewhere in so many different ways.
Yeah, like the guy who's
I'm losing interest in the Yankees, not going to lie.
Like the guy who's about to get a whole boatload backing up that Brinks truck come these winter meetings, and Aaron Judge. Maybe you could have made a little better decisions in that sense, and maybe we wouldn't be. And that's a whole other
look
in itself.
If the Yankees don't sign Aaron Judge in the offseason, it's not about money. It's about their choice. And it's not about the money they're spending on Donaldson instead. And it's just they don't want to spend.
No. It's
now if it's because he's like, I don't want to spend another year with Donaldson. Now that's a possible. Like this guy, I'm good. I'll
screw that guy.
Screw that guy. Among other reasons, could be a reason to leave. But I don't think. They don't sign him because they don't have the money. They wouldn't have had the money no matter. That's the point. They were hoping he would bomb out this year and then get him for cheap because, look, you're the Yankees. You got to sign him for – he should be the highest player in baseball next year, even if he's not the best player in baseball, if he's on the Yankees. And that's what's going to be expected because, Pee Wee Herman used to play for them 100 years ago and won a World Series.
Right.
And there are all the reasons that you said – negative about them are all the reasons why Aaron Judge should be on the Yankees and the highest paid player in baseball next year.
No, I agree with that. That's the whole thing with this. He should be.
Yeah,
and I think having him as a Yankee is fantastic for not just them but for baseball. And I don't think they're handling it in the best fashion.
He'll go to the Dodgers, who already have a $300 million payroll right now.
No, I don't think he's going to the Dodgers. I know the whole. I don't think. I said a couple months ago, sneaky Red Sox, but you know what? Right. Uncle Stevie might open up the.
I like the Red Sox because I like him because that's the way to give him the finger. Go to Boston and start hitting home runs.
Oh yeah, hitting those over the monster. Whew. Yeah. Also great for baseball.
And don't forget, Bernie Williams was almost a Red Sox too. And the Yankees had one, 11th hour contract that he ended up taking for 7 years. But Steve Cohen, I can see it. Just another way to be able to just take a shot at the Yankees in this case here and open up the checkbook. I don't know whose contracts are coming off the books this year, but could you imagine him and Pete Alonso back to back?
Yeah, that would be. And then you have Nimmo in center. You move Marte back to left. Judge in right. Man.
Yeah.
I got chills thinking about it.
Now, keep in mind, I think next year they still have to pay Cano, though, another year, don't they?
Well, that's fine. We're talking about Uncle Stevie here. This is the Mark Cuban of baseball now. That's fine.
This isn't the Mark. This is the George Steinbrenner of baseball now.
Could be. But hey, the team's more, like I said, the team is more fun. Even though, I don't know, were you watching the game the other night?
But George was never the richest owner.
He just acted like it.
He was the most impulsive owner, perhaps.
Yes.
He basically said that if you guys don't sign Contreras, you're all fired. And then Jose Contreras did a phenomenal job for the 2 years that he was there. And then he left and immediately won a World Series with the White Sox. Alongside Orlando Hernandez, I may point out. But
El Duque.
Yes. Missed that guy. Anyway, yeah, so figured to throw that out there because, Brandon loves the opportunity to just trash the Yankees and, the team from the Bronx there. Okay, so, Brandon, I'm going to give you
Savages in the box. Ooh.
Can I point out?
Although overall, your overall play, I can't knock. You guys are 40 and, 18, 17, whatever it is. I can't knock it. So, other than that.
Can I point out that John Boy has a show on the Yes Network now? His podcast, Talking Yanks, is now broadcast on the Yes Network. Yeah, it's like 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, but kudos to him.
It's a random time, but it is. Yeah,
dude, it's still a time. And to go from this no-name YouTuber to suddenly exploding to having his own show in like 3 years, I mean, that's hella impressive. And then when we were at Citi Field for NYCFC, they had Talking Yanks on. They had the Yes Network on at Citi Field.
And that's a it was a weekend, but it's still a prime time, of the night, whatever it was, 6, 7, 8 o'clock, whatever it was.
I found that bizarre. But you know what? Kudos to John Boy on that, like I said. So, Obi, do you have anything to add, or do you have any? There's a topic that Brandon did want to go into that's not on the docket, but I want to go into that.
No, I got nothing on the Yankees. That's enough of the Yankees for one day.
Cool. I'm going to close that puppy right out. We are going to be basically. Go ahead.
Well, do we want to do ObiWan too?
I was going to say come back to ObiWan because I want to basically have you go into. You
because that I'm caught up on.
Okay, that can work. No, I was going to say you had a topic that you wanted to go into when it came to music, if I'm right.
Yes, it's something that's always kind of been a little kind of thorn in my side as I think I'm a very committed, dedicated music fan, and this is across all genres. So it's not just I'm a huge rock metal guy. It's not just those genres. But one thing that always gets me is when an artist released an album and the album artwork, whatever it is, doesn't reflect the title of the album. And that for some reason, it's very insignificant. I admit it is stupid, but for some reason, I can't get over it. And every time I see the album, it's like it's whatever it is. So like for example, of one that absolutely makes sense. Trying to think of like a famous one offhand. Like let's say Metallica's "Ride the Lightning." You know the blue lightning bolts coming down, hitting the chair. Like that makes sense to me. Ride the lightning, a chair. That's perfectly fine. You could any Metallica album, you could really do that. But then you hit like like a genre that does this a lot. I would say is country, because I would say the majority of country albums is just them looking in the distance in some way, shape, or form, in a car, on a whatever the case, standing on the side of a road, whatever, in a field, it doesn't matter. And it could be this random album title like, you know, The Feelings of Life, or, you know, something really, yeah, go ahead, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But Brandon,
Brandon, you should be walking on the side of a road with a suitcase. Like,
what's your favorite album, Brandon?
No, that is not fair. And I will tell you why that is not fair. Because okay, so my favorite album of all time is Appetite for Destruction, my favorite band, Guns N' Roses. And I tell you that is not fair is because the artwork that we in America are familiar with is the banner Appetite for, you know, Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction with the cross with the 5 skulls of the band members. That is not the original album artwork. The original album artwork actually displays an quote-unquote appetite for destruction, and I will pull that album out right now to show you. This is the original album cover for Appetite for Destruction. So we have this killer robot monster feeding on this woman here. There's a little graphic, so I'm gonna take that off. But that displays Appetite for Destruction. Yeah, that was banned in America when the album first came out. They had to put it, you know, they had to do the cross. So that is not fair, Obi. That is not fair.
Although it's odd because of the fact that basically try to avoid the religious connotation.
Okay, if you say so. But I mean, you knew it.
Look it up.
I know.
It has been well documented.
Well, Doc, I lived through it. I don't need to look it up. I'm well aware of it. But you know, they could have chosen a different cover that may or may not have been that. But that's just that's a prime one.
I think they had to do it last minute. I think the story was they had to do it so last minute that they really just had to throw that together. And you know, obviously the rest is history.
Yeah,
I mean,
I have no problem if you can make it iconic, then it's worthwhile, even if it doesn't necessarily match the, you know, what's being said.
If you look closer at it,
for the
I mean, here's the thing:
I get more distressed by videos that have nothing to do with the song than I do album covers. Like
that's okay. That's fair too. Yeah.
Like, what? Yeah.
I don't watch music videos so much. Like that doesn't bother me. But if I did, I would absolutely be bothered by that. And I know what you mean. Every video I've seen hardly makes sense to what the song's about.
It's okay if it doesn't make sense and like someone could interpret it. But there was a song, I can't remember which one it was. It was, he mentions in the song, it is a man singing, and he's singing it multiple times to a woman, and it's clear he calls her and she. And then the video, which caused a big uproar, was about a gay love affair. And I was like, well, who cares if it's about a gay love affair? But the song is clearly not about a gay love affair. Why is the video, to me, there was a bigger disconnect from the song and the video to the fact that it was about a gay love affair. So that drives me crazy. Like, if you're telling a story with your song and your video is telling a completely different song and there's no way to make the connection, that's crazy.
Well, that's how I look at I think of the artwork is you're kind of giving a visual story of whatever the title is, even if the songs are all about, an infinite amount of subjects, whatever the case may be. I just think, like for like a country one, if I become like, I don't know, moonshines in the moonlight. Like, I want to see the picture of you drinking moonshines with the moon out. I don't need to see just like you, a picture looking into the distance. That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, you always have to have that one reflective guy.
Yeah, they're all the same.
There was that episode of South Park when they, I'm
going to disagree with you. I have less qualms with that or not.
Yeah, you have a problem with it?
Does that match the kids climbing up the?
Well, I would argue that at least it shows some type of like worshiping, like they're all laying on the rocks looking up at this kid. I could argue that. So,
but see, that was also referenced in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure when they were in ancient Greece. It reminded By the way, can I just point out that
that's fine. Okay, all right.
By the way, I didn't realize this till earlier, but Manfred Mann, who did the song "Blinded by the Light," wrapped up like I didn't realize this, but they also did the song "Do a diddy diddy dum diddy do."
Really?
There she. Yeah, they were more. So Manfred Mann was more. Manfred Mann was more known for like early '60s doo-wop stuff, and then just sort of reinvented themselves with "Blinded by the Light."
Really weird.
Because when I was working out today, I just did like a YouTube playlist of Manfred Mann. The first song was, "There She Was, Just a Walking Down the Street."
Huh.
And I looked it up. I'm like, holy crap.
I did not know. I didn't know that was his song.
Oh. Yeah, and it kind of basically soured me on Manfred Mann because I knew there were more from like, the 70s and all, that kind of stuff and Blinded by the Light. But then I'm hearing all this 60s doo-wop. I cannot handle 60s doo-wop. I really, really, really hate it. So Obi, by the way, probably can't hear me. So Obi, I'm going to talk louder.
Let's see, does that help?
No.
Okay.
So he only hears me, Scott.
All right. Well, it's probably because honestly,
I hear you. I hear you, Obi. I'm good. So wait, Scott,
I have nothing to tell. I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Wonderful.
All right. So we're going to figure this one out.
Who was the two-hit wonder we were talking about?
Manfred
Mann.
Blinded by the Light, and then Do Diddy. We didn't know that was his song as well.
No, I mean, I like I said, I was pulling up a YouTube.
So we got away from album covers, I see. Because I was just looking at some iconic album covers and trying to decide whether they matched.
Yeah, I'll put on my lawyer hat and I'll defend these.
All right, so the last one I got is Nirvana, Nevermind.
Okay.
Again, keeping towards your genre.
Doesn't make sense. No.
Okay, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
It can be as like, don't get me wrong. They are obviously as iconic as they are not making any sense. So it does go both ways.
Okay. All right, I can live with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think in this case, I can see where Brandon's coming from, where they go for this artistic look, they go for this sort of setup where it's like, it makes you think, it makes you reflective, because I think if you're a fan of the group, you're going to buy the album regardless of whether the album cover is good or crap. So maybe it's trying to actually hit into some of the other people out there, like, I wonder what this is. So.
Yeah, it's just always been a thing that's kind of just been a thorn in my side. And it's always stuck with me. And couldn't think of a better time to bring it up.
But speaking of music, I know how you feel about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame being, the Music Hall of Fame. Apparently, Illinois opened up their own like Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So it's like all the bands, I guess, that came from Illinois. They've got their own Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now.
Yeah, but they have to call it like the Illinois State Rock and Roll, or
it's very
like,
specific. You can't trademark that.
Yeah, but the overall, they can shove off for all I care.
I mean, I guess New Jersey's got a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and you'd have obviously Bon Jovi and Springsteen.
Bruce, you put in there, yeah. I'd argue Frank Sinatra. He was born in New Jersey. I would throw him in there, like just as an early.
But he's not rock and roll. I mean, he's not rock and roll. But Run DMC and
Eminem and Dolly Parton, and can I go on? Yeah.
Yeah. Please do. But yeah, it's become like basically the Music Hall of Fame more than.
Are you?
Well, that's because I think that I hear both of you guys now, and I mean, to me, it's like rock and roll to the extent that I think that you speak of rock and roll of, in that era of rock and roll, there's very few bands that are putting out Hall of Fame worthy careers in that genre of music at this point in time. And so either it's done or you expand the definition. And that's one argument.
Yeah, but you can expand the definition within your genre. That doesn't mean you have to take on other genres like their stepchildren.
Yeah, well,
like,
okay.
So they can go to hell. I'm done with them. I'm so done.
You go to hell.
Really, great museum, great memorabilia, but the institution can kick rocks. I'm done with them.
Here's what I can't figure out. Cleveland apparently is the most stressed out city in the United States. I don't know how.
Because they're all angry about the Hall of Fame. They can't get it right. And the Browns.
Well, obviously,
the Browns.
I was going to say, I mean, dude, now, I don't want to go. I can go into this maybe to a small degree. I'm going to leave it to you guys if you want to discuss this or not. I know JD is not. That's why I'm not bringing it up tonight. But a 24th woman came forward on Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I saw that today.
And now there's some questions about there. Is the NFL going to actually ban him entirely? In which case, the Browns will look unbridledly stupid for trading everything they had to pick up a player that may never play a down for them.
Look, here's what I will say about this. Let's say the NFL investigates. Let's say they find that 10%, that's two and a half of these cases are legit. So we'll call it 3. If they find that 3 of these are legit, that's still 12 games. That's still four games.
Yeah.
And, the reason this last woman came out is she's like, they're going to suspend him on the $1 million contract this year. He's going to make 24 next year. So the NFL is going to be incentivized to do 6 games for each one. Like he could be, or if they decide each one is like, I can't imagine he's going to get back on a football field. I just don't see it happening because I can't. If the NFL just goes, we're going to suspend him for 6 games, then they're going to have to defend 6 games. Are you saying that 24 women is 6? Oh, are you saying then they're going to have to say how many cases they found credible, which is a whole nother thing. They're better off just going a game for each. That's 24 games, a season and a half. And good luck, Browns. Baker Mayfield then wins the MVP and signs somewhere else. That would be the hysterical thing.
But here's the thing: if you suspend 1 game for everyone that's credible, I think that's going to be coming off extremely weak on the NFL's part.
Yeah,
I think they're going to be wanting they're going to be wanting 1 year for everyone at a minimum. Because you remember, you have to also deal with the groups that are going to be outraged and what Twitter is going to do. And I'm not saying I'll be honest with you, I think 1 game would be very weak for that. But also from an NFL standpoint, if they decided to do 1 game, they're going to take some serious backlash on that.
Oh, I'm just using that as the minimum, Scott. Like if you do 1 game, you're at least getting them into next season. But then they have to say that whatever number they come up with, they're going to then have to attribute that to how many women that they find credible. And then if every woman they find credible, then you're going to have to explain, well, why only that many games per each. So I think it's going to be tough for him to play again. I think the Browns didn't do him any favors by signing him to the $1 million this year. I think that put more pressure for a longer suspension on the NFL. Because yes, there's a lot of people. The NFL continues to grow fans because the NFL decided before any other sport that they were going to try to add the female market to their market share, and now they have to make sure that that's not a demographic they are totally offending by giving him 0 games for 24 accusations.
Even the trade itself was tempestuous, to say the least.
Yes. Yeah, because
I don't think you can do a game. That's insulting. Because if you look at all these other look at the Zeke situation with Ezekiel Elliott a handful of years ago. What considering what the allegations are for Deshaun and what they handed down to Zeke, you cannot do anything less per accusation. Fair. That means we are talking now 2-year ban, one 2-year ban, 3-year ban, lifetime. I mean, they're going to have to start having these conversations.
Look at what Michael Vick and or Plaxico got.
I mean, we could any of these. I mean, obviously the exception is Ray Rice. But I mean, less than that, has there really been such a forgetting the legitimacy or illegitimacy of all of this, just the overall spectacle of this? It's really becoming. I would not be surprised if number 25 comes up in the next day or two. I mean, I didn't think we were going to get to 23, or what is it? I thought it was 23 to 24, getting the 24th one on, or what is it? It was 2 in the last couple weeks or whatever it was. But I mean, it's 25 next. I mean, they really have to start having these really serious conversations.
They do. They 100% do. All right. Well, actually, in this case, I pulled it just so I can actually put that up there. There, got that in because I finally got to it. I'm putting the picture up just to have it up there. Any final thoughts on that before I get rid of the picture that's up there?
I mean, we'll see. There's nothing else really I can say about it.
Fair enough. All right. So we're going to move on to the final topic of the evening. In this case, we've got about 15 or so minutes left. This is something I believe Obi can actually talk about. Obi is one that has seen this. Brandon is one that saw it. I thought it was funny, so no one else will. But fuck it. There. Over to ObiWan.
Oh man.
Obi, do you want to start this off?
Yes, you should. Oh,
Brandon, you want to start this off?
Obi, all right, so he's made aware. So yes, so you
want to just put your comments down below? I'll read them.
We're getting something special now with this show. Yes. I think what they've done has really been it really connects the. I don't want to say the older, but like the second generation, the second era fans with today's, and it's just bringing everybody back. And it's crazy to think that this is the first we don't get that many live screen action, of Darth Vader. So between Rogue One and this, I mean, this is really all we've gotten since the original trilogy. Mm-hmm. So to really see the Darth Vader right as he became, I think is really great. And they've done a tremendous job. Just from episode 3, just the poetics of that episode alone is unbelievable.
All right. So let me go. First of all, first thing
please.
My whole desire for Obi-Wan Kenobi, the show, and I knew it wasn't going to happen as soon as I saw the trailers, has always been, let's just remake Kung Fu. And that was my desire. Kung Fu, the legend continues. The story almost lines up perfectly without the issue of a white man playing someone from China. It would have been great.
Again.
You could have literally taken some of the scripts right out and just that's what I wanted. I thought that would be great. But we don't get that. There's still a chance that we'll have Jules doing that, but we'll move on from there. So I was a little already concerned. And then, I know that there are a lot of Hayden fans out there and a lot of younger fans. And I even know Scott, very happy to have Vader back in it. Mm-hmm. So I was hoping if we were going to have Vader and him actually meet, we could wait 6 episodes for them to actually meet. Let's build up to it. Because now after this, we know they have to meet again because there's no question that he Luke Skywalkered him. Like, I'm just using one hand that he is not the master at all. So now we have to meet a second time. That bothers me. The scene where Vader walks down the street, that was fantastic. The rest of the episode around it was atrocious. We're going to meet some stormtroopers but not tell them. Then meet some other stormtroopers. Then, hey, let's point this out. We can track that we know the Millennium Falcon blasted out of Tatooine, but we don't know that this is the same ship, by the way. And it's only got 3 possible locations, and we're monitoring all the ports anyway. They get to the fence. He literally could have lifted Leia up over the electric fence and walked around the outside of the most ridiculous laser fence in the history.
They could have walked around the fence. They could have walked around. That. Okay. Yes, that is true. And I did think to myself, like, ObiWan, bro, just like walk around that shit. Like it did feel so obvious to me.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
They all should have run down the tunnel, which would have, by the way, been better had they escaped for the building up of Vader and made Vader just even meaner. Like that part, like I said, was great. Him just like, I'm absolute evil. Just, you're not who I'm looking for. Throw you across the room and could have killed another Inquisitor just for the sake of it.
He's going to. So one of these Inquisitors is going to die. But from him, he's going to kill one of them for sure.
Probably, yes. And so, like, that all kind of, I just thought I did not like that episode. And at first I thought it was the only one. Fortunately, I found other people out there who did not like the episode.
We're talking Star Wars here. There's always going to be hate. This is like, dude, shut up. Like look what we're getting right now. Like, just enjoy it.
I loved, by the way, Scott, I know you posted here on our Stream Punk Twitter. I did love the intro of him being put together. Like, that part, like the Vader stuff and the Reva stuff, I liked all that. But and I even like the Leia stuff, but obviously we got him to rock bottom. Now he's going to build himself up, and that's how they got him to rock bottom. But it was just, maybe you could do the whole thing with one of the Inquisitors instead to get him to rock bottom. It just, I did not enjoy the fight. I did not enjoy Vader just letting them go. He literally, the Vader that they showed could have grabbed all the robot, Ben, and the girl, and dragged them right back into the flame via the Force, which the Vader we had seen. The incongruities of how badass he was walking down the street, destroying Obi-Wan in the fight, and then, there's some fire, and I can't just drag him back into the fire because one of my stormtroopers got shot. It was just, come on, like, because and if they just avoided the that wouldn't have had that problem.
From my understanding on this, the reason he didn't is because basically he realized that Obi-Wan was trash and that he can continue to torture him. Maul did the same. Maul did the same thing to Obi-Wan during Star Wars. When he killed Satine, he of actually killing Obi-Wan, but wanted to let him suffer. That's the theory that a lot of the fans, like Star Wars theory and Intus and all the rest of them, have when it comes to it. He's like, I can go back and I can torture this guy whenever I want, and I planned it.
Okay, so their theory was, instead of this being, and sometimes people look at things and they go, well, it's bad in the Star Wars universe, and other times they look at things and go, it's bad as a movie or a piece of art. I think this was bad as just, if you didn't make this Star Wars and you saw this villain walking down the street with all this power, and then you saw that, you'd be like, that was weak. That was weak applesauce to save the hero. So in the Star Wars world, we'll go with that, and we can use that as a fix for why it works in Star Wars. But that escape was weak, and the need to even thematically have them in that situation where you could just build up Vader instead on his badassery, I think would have been better than making them meet. And I get that he's weak. And I get that he's Ben Kenobi now and will turn into Obi-Wan by the end of the show and then be Obi-Wan as Ben as opposed to actually being Ben. Like, I get all that, and I get this is rock bottom, and that's what you have to do. I just would have preferred a different way than this one-handed Vader versus Ben Kenobi situation here. I mean, like, that is how he played with Luke. And that is not Luke. That is Ben Kenobi. That is the guy who's supposed to be a more powerful Jedi than even Vader is.
Well, that'll come back because about 2 years before A New Hope, he kills Maul, and he kills Maul quickly.
Yes.
So he will come back and become more powerful. So I think right now it is, like you said, rock bottom. I loved it. I thought hearing James Earl Jones's voice again, seeing him built in a way that was not done really in anything, including Revenge of the Sith. You saw the entire manufactured process. Was that?
Or Rogue One.
Yeah, but you saw the entire manufacture process, the arm going on. Then you saw so much more in that episode than you'd really ever seen previously. And then to hear the voice again, to see the intimidation, to have him talk to Reva about being Grand Inquisitor, it was just something that brought my 7-year-old Return of the Jedi self back. And it, like we did the watch party, me and Dee, the other day. And I was even saying, it's like, I feel like a kid again right now. And it was just so cool to see that. And I don't know where they're going to go. The series may not be able to basically match what my hopes for it is going to be. But you know what? Just from that episode alone, I can walk away happy with this series.
I think the mirror images and poetics that they paid homage to episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, to kind of really show like I said, show the mirror image. It's episode 3 of the series. Dragged through the fire. They fought. They could have killed it. Probably, one of them could have killed each other in episode 3. There is still we have to understand at this point in Darth Vader's existence, there is Anakin still in him. He is Prime Vader, but he is still early young Vader. So there is a sense, yes, they obviously are going to meet again. I think seeing Ben or Obi-Wan for the first time since the Battle of Mustafar, there is that sense of Anakin and human within Vader still. And just, yes, obviously he could have just, you're dead. Like, of course. But that's not the character that Vader is. If you look,
that's where I disagree with you. Vader should be at peak. Vader should get, and it would make sense, especially if you watch as you have Star Wars through Jedi. The good is brought out in him by his son and his existence and his desire to pull it out. This is still super angry Vader, and he says it. What have you become? What you have made me. Like, that was a great line.
It was
spectacular. But that's why he should have been pure evil, which is why I will at least buy into, because it's Star Wars and because of poetic, that he's doing what Maul tried to do, which is, of course, essentially what every bad guy does. We'll just set the trap as opposed to just killing him, which is
okay.
You're going to do that, but you still did it. You did it via a way that just didn't play out. It didn't play out the same way as you brought him in as the baddest of the bad Vaders you've seen, and probably even including Rogue One. This was evil Vader. And then you just let him stare and watch. And okay, maybe he wants to torture again, but then he still has to find again, and he still has to count on Reva again. And yes, this is his one thing that he's focused on. So sure, but boy,
isn't there a part of forget the Anakin part? Isn't there a part of Vader that wants to identically reflect what Obi-Wan did to him that he is now doing to now Ben? Dragging through the fire, leaving him to die, all that stuff. It's a mirror image. And I understand
He did it. And he did it in such a way that was not related. Forget the greater Star Wars universe and
Well, it's not though, because it's very.
But no, I'm saying if you
this.
do it, if you do recall it, then it gets even worse, I think. But if you don't, you just think this dude was super, super bad, literally throwing people all over the place with the Force in unabated evilness, walking down the street.
But I think taking the context out of it, you're
so.
losing.
But then, so then, if I don't take the context out of it, then when I can't remember the character's name, is it Tila? And the robot come, it's the robot's smashed. It's she's dead, and it's leave him in the fire to burn. I mean, that's the character they built up on that street walk, which was fantastic.
Yes, fair. But now, all right, but it could simply be now. I'm thinking about it, and it could be it's so obvious. You can't erase what they did in the first Star Wars, and now the whole universe is all messed up. You can't do that. Obviously, they meet again in Episode 4. We know that. We know Ben becomes older, so they have to. You have to do it. You kind of have to do it this way.
So So that's why the decision to have them meet is the bad decision. Let him run away. Let him reach rock bottom some other way, and then by the time he meets Vader over 6 weeks, so he still had to hit rock bottom there. Ben Kenobi died. And Obi-Wan Kenobi's reborn. Now, I don't know how you make that happen. That probably
it's too hard. It's too hard.
It may be too hard, or it may have been required more creativity than having that scene where, like, Vader. I mean, you're right. That is literally the Vader on young Luke Skywalker, one-handed. Like one-handed Vader is an insult Vader. That is Vader being like, I'm not even trying either.
Yeah, it's a hand and a foot tied behind his back, and it's still no issue. Like it's not. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was it. So that if you found a way to make him reach rock bottom without that fight, let them continue to march to each other to the final battle that they are going to have, because obviously this ain't it. Because there's no way he would look at him and go, I was, you were the master. Now I am the master. Last time we met.
Says, right.
Yeah, last time we met, I dragged you through fire, you freaking wimp.
Last time.
This ain't going to go any better.
I think he said last time we met, you were still the master and I was the learner.
The circle is complete. Now I am the master.
Yes.
Yeah, something.
The powers have made you weak, old man.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
But to Scott's
2 out of 3 actually like this.
I could see it. I see it, but I think
But Scott's point about the beginning of the episode, like that part, 100% buying that James Earl Jones voice and putting him together.
Yeah.
The nastiness of him. If they had just figured out a way to make him run without changing any of the episode, but run down the corridor with Leia and her, and have that somehow turned into rock. Maybe Vader kills everybody there, all the innocent people, and he takes that upon himself, and that's his rock bottom. Just keeping the episode as much the same as it was. Because then, after all this stuff that really bothers me, then you look back and you go, that stupid fence. And why 2 sets of stormtroopers? And that other stuff.
What bothered me the most about that whole...
You need the fence, you can get a stormtrooper cut in half.
The whole thing, yeah.
You get the decapitated stormtrooper.
Just walk around the fence. Okay, that's obvious. But then the other part where they're introducing him and he says hello. And we're sitting there like, say it. Say hello there. And he doesn't say it. And I felt so blue-balled. Like, it was there. Like a home run, dude. It was teed up for you.
They might at the end of the series.
They might. I hope. Please.
Right.
If there's one thing, give me a hello there. That's all I want. I want to hear it.
Hello there.
I told you, I was willing to get fired a few years ago on Halston when Ewan McGregor was on there, just so I had the opportunity to say hello there. I would have been like, all right, I'll take I'm fired. I get it. That's fine. It's worth it.
No, that is a loss you carry proudly. That's a win. That's not a loss. That is a win.
Because he was actually, as soon as he was done with Halston, which was right around that time, he was immediately starting production on ObiWan. So he was apparently flying up to Boston.
He was in hello there mode.
Yeah, and I would have been like, I'm fired. I'm getting blacklisted, but you know what? Got a story forever. Hell yeah.
So worth it. Hell yeah. I can't argue that. I would have done that. It's worth it.
Fair. So, all right. I figure we can start wrapping this up. It is 8 o'clock at this point. Do you gentlemen have any final thoughts before I start randomly plugging our other stuff?
Nope. I'm good.
I'll plug my stuff first.
Plug yourself.
I'll plug my non-stream punk related stuff.
I can plug.
Which is, of course, the drinking from the garden hose. Where a spoiler alert: next Friday's episode is great because we talk about ObiWan. Ed talks about how he feels about whether ObiWan should meet up with Vader, not knowing that I just watched the episode where ObiWan met up with Vader while he's talking to me. And you should listen to hear me handle that like
you're
a
playing
pro.
dumb in the situation.
Yeah. Maybe
they do. That's funny.
Perfect. Brandon, do you have anything you want to hawk?
Tomorrow, 1:30, home court press, my all NBA coverage of the finals and how that's been going on Spanglish World Network, Zingo TV, channels 249, 250. Don't miss it.
Yes. And then after that, at 4 p.m., three of us will be back alongside Mr. J.D. Walker for the Sports Den at 4 o'clock. Then at 7 o'clock, we got Tales from the Film Set. So me, Ryan, and Davion are going to be covering, probably talking a little bit about Jurassic World Dominion on that. Also, movies that came out in the last 25 years that, you know what? If you came out with a sequel, it might not suck. So,
Beetlejuice. More than 25 years. Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice.
Dude, we said all we need. To quote Kevin Smith on that, you know, we pretty much said all. We really said pretty much everything we needed to with the first one. Must we go Hawaiian? Because there was actually supposed to be Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian and it never transpired. Kevin Smith actually had the option of being able to direct that movie. Check out his video on that. It's freaking hilarious. So
good stuff.
So all right, gents. So I appreciate it. Thanks as always. Like I said, if you need any questions, you want to drop us a message, reach out to me at streampunksports@gmail. Tales from the Film Set. As always, streampunkent.com is the mother site. Thanks as always. Take care. Be awesome. Stay awesome. You guys are awesome. Awesome.